Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. Joy cometh in the morning. And church morning is on its way. And church morning is on its way.
All right, so Kamala Harris got flustered in her latest rally where protests continue to disrupt her speeches. Also, she was asked a question about Prop 36 in California, which is a bill to tighten up the crime in this state because we know crime has been soft since she was the attorney general. You're going to want to hear her answer on that. And also, we get to hear from different voters in different battleground states slam Kamala Harris once again. Why don't we start with Prop 36 and what her answer was when the press asked her, which way is she voting? Yes or no?
How did you vote on Prop 36?
So my ballot is on its way to California, and I'm going to trust the system that it will arrive there. And I am not going to talk about the vote on that because honestly, it's the Sunday before the election, and I don't intend to create an endorsement one way or another around it. So, but I did vote.
This is why people don't trust Kamala Harris. This is why people feel they don't know Kamala Harris. And this is why they don't believe anything that she says. In fact, they call her a fake manufactured candidate in an empty suit. I mean, that is the first impression because she refuses to answer even some of the most simplest questions. I would think after her flip-flopping on so many positions, maybe it'd be smart for her to say yes, because we know she's not for Prop 36, because if she was, she would have said, yeah, I am for it. But again, this speaks to the issues people have with her. Anyways, what she is focused on is Donald Trump. Listen to this.
President Donald Trump prematurely claimed victory in 2020. Just his comments in the past few days seem to suggest, that he is thinking about it. How will you and your campaign respond if he does the same thing again?
So here we are on the Sunday before the election, and I would ask, in particular, people who have not yet voted, to not fall for his tactic, which I think includes suggesting to people that if they vote, their vote won't matter. Suggesting to people that somehow the integrity of our voting system is not intact so that they don't vote. And again, I think that it is a tactic. It is meant to distract from the fact that we have and support free and fair elections in our country. We did in 2020. He lost. And the systems that are in place for this election in 2024 have integrity. They are good systems, and the vote of the people will determine the outcome of this election, and everyone must know that their vote is their power to determine the outcome of the election, and their vote will count. It does matter.
Yeah, but the problem is polling shows that Americans don't believe what she just said. They don't believe our elections are fair and clear of corruption. And the reason why people feel that way is because there's zero transparency. I mean, these states could do a better job of being transparent on what's going on. But when they want to not include people in the process and they don't want to publish publicly what they're doing, they lead themselves open to criticism and then people concluding that there's something fishy going on. It's that simple. I mean, in the absence of transparency, conspiracies will start to rise. I mean, that's just what the facts are. So that obviously creates a lot of confusion when you're talking about 50 states. Now, what is not confusing at this point is what's happening at Kamala Harris's rallies over and over and over again. People don't like that she's the candidate because they know she's not going to do anything when it comes to the Hamas and Israel war. And here she is again getting interrupted, not once, but twice.
And if you are caring for an elderly parent, my plan will cover the cost of home care under Medicare. It's all good. You know what? One of the reasons we are here is because we are fighting for a democracy and the right of people to speak their mind, but right now I am speaking. So bringing down the cost of living for you includes making sure that we are caring for those who are caring for others. It's okay, y'all. Democracy can be complicated. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. And I'll tell you, a lot of how I think about these policies is based on my own experiences. When my mother was sick, I took care of her. It's all good. Hey, listen, it's all good. And look, we all want that war in the Middle East to end. We want the hostages home. And when I am president, I will do everything in my power to make it so.
Yeah, now if you haven't caught on, what will happen is they've trained the audience in the crowd when people start to interrupt and protest or boo, they have to try to drown out those voices by screaming Kamala, Kamala, Kamala over and over and over again. And of course, it interrupts her speech. She's reading from a teleprompter, but it doesn't take away from what the real issue here is. She's not a candidate that people trust. We're going to get to later in this video. I'm talking about people from Michigan, Muslim Americans, even younger voters don't believe she's going to do anything about the Hamas and Israel war. And again, part of it is just how fake she is as a candidate. I told you, she's like a robot. And how do we know that to be true? Because it's just not my opinion. Look at her behavior. Last Sunday, she rolled up in a black church, switched up her accent, and started preaching verses from the Bible. Here she is again, doing the same thing in Detroit. Watch.
But in times of uncertainty, we are reminded weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning, and church morning is on its way. God bless you, God bless Detroit, and may God bless the United States. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. The path may seem hard, the work may seem heavy, but joy cometh in the morning, and church morning is on its way.
And that's the big contrast between her and Donald Trump is he is an individual that people love or hate him. There's no in between. And the reason why that is because he's authentic. I find the most authentic people out there are people who are going to have people who either love them or hate them, because they're going to say what they think. They're going to do what they want to do. And some people are going to love it and some people are going to hate it. I mean, that is just the bottom line. And that's why in Pennsylvania, Trump is doing amazing. He has a huge connection there because we know he survived his first assassination attempt there. And of course, this isn't just my opinion. Even a Democratic senator is saying something like that. John Fetterman. Listen to this.
Now, back in 2016, when Trump won Pennsylvania, you said your party wasn't connecting with voters enough that it needs. What are you seeing now? Are you seeing any of the same warning signs in 2024?
No, there's nothing new here. You know, I've said the same thing in 2016. I've said that it's going to be really close. I mean, there's an issue there. And I said that it's going to be very close in 2020. And of course it was. And I've been saying this, whether it was Biden or then became Harris, I said it's going to be very close. And Trump definitely has a connection with voters here in Pennsylvania. And that's why it's going to be close.
It's not just the connection that Trump has with people in Pennsylvania. It's also this connection he now has with Jewish voters, because they have seen the incompetence from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as they continue to drag their feet with the support for Israel. That's just bottom line.
I was in Pennsylvania recently talking to Jewish voters. I want to play just some of what one told me about why she left your Democratic Party.
I left the Democratic Party because in the current political climate, I do not believe they are seriously supporting the Jewish community. They are not seriously engaging with us.
Now, I should say that she is voting for Harris because she says she can't stand Donald Trump. But that might not always be the case. What is your message to Jewish voters who are concerned about supporting Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania? 300,000 Jewish voters there.
Well, I know we've had a conversation about the situation in with Israel and Gaza and that situation. And I've disagreed with the president, anyone about this. I've been a very consistent kind of voice throughout all of this, been on that side of for Israel. And now we have a diversity of opinion with the Democratic Party, and it is possible that may have alienated some members of the Jewish community, but my voice is only my voice. And I've been committed. I'm following. I'm going to follow Israel throughout all of this. So my opinion isn't really likely going to change. And it is absolutely an issue here throughout the election.
And so the bigger question is, will this obviously impact the election results, right? It remains to be seen. I just think there's too many variables that are going against the Democratic Party in this election. And I think that's going to impact what's going on. And one of the other things going against them is this huge shift of men leaving the Democratic Party. And part of the reason is because the Democratic Party refuses to look in the mirror and actually understand what they have done to create this type of issue for themselves. And an example of why they're so out of touch is just look at Kamala Harris's husband. Here's what he had to say about men supporting Donald Trump and not Kamala Harris.
What I talk to young men about who might be taken by the fun side of Donald Trump, such as it is, the dancing, the going to the wrestling matches, going on the podcasts, and trying to portray himself as someone who he really is. And I think Cardi B called this out and said it's just all a hustle. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm trying to implore young men in particular to do the research. He's not your friend. The policies that he's talking about will not help them in the economy. The policies that he's talking about have nothing to do with them.
That's why men are supporting Trump, because they have done their research and they compare the results of Trump and they compare the results of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and they say, oh, this is an easy choice. I'm going to go with Trump because he's not making me feel guilty for being a man, right? Because that's what the Democratic Party have done. And the other thing about young men is they're more likely to be patriotic. And so when they hear a governor speaking this way, no wonder they don't like the Democrats anymore. Listen to this.
And remind everybody, if you're voting for these Republicans in New York, you are voting for someone who supports Donald Trump, and you're anti-woman, you're anti-abortion, and basically you're anti-American because you have just trashed American values and what our country is all about. So
now we're anti-American. This is the same governor that said black kids in New York don't even know what a computer is, by the way. And that's why I say voters are not buying this hateful rhetoric. They're thinking about what's going on when it comes to their bank account, what's going on with immigration, their future. Here is an example of that.
Every day, the ads, masses of flyers, text, and mail.
Do you read it all? No. Maybe a few months ago, but now it's become overwhelming.
And for Jalbert, who works 3 jobs to make ends meet for his young family, none of these ads are changing his mind.
We were thriving under Trump's administration, and right now we aren't. I'm a regular guy. I'm a working class guy, so I can't sit here and, explain economics to you. But as a regular guy, I can say, under this administration, we're thriving. Now we aren't.
And it's just that simple. Like you've heard a lot in politics, it's the economy, stupid, right? And I still believe the fundamentals are going to reign supreme in this election unless there's some type of outlier that takes place. People are up at night, not because of abortion, not because their rights are being taken away, not because of Project 2025. It's how am I going to pay rent? How am I going to pay for this? What's going on with my future financially? That's what makes people so stressed. So here is another voter talking about immigration.
But Trump has made gains with the Black and Latino vote, especially on immigration.
I'm very disappointed. I don't believe anymore on the Democrat Party because they promise and promise and they never do anything. So I'm voting for Donald Trump.
So President Trump has basically said he'll deport millions and millions of people.
Well, he said that the first time too, when he was president.
So you don't think he's going to do that? You think he's actually going to help people who are here?
He go after criminals.
So you think he's just going to deport people who are criminals? Or
yes. Now, we know what the media is trying to do is scare people with the rhetoric that Trump is going to deport people when we know he's not going to deport everyone that came into this country. It's the criminals who are causing havoc or have a history of causing havoc. We're going to get those people out first. And I'm all for that. And most Americans are all for that, by the way. All right, so we heard about the economy and the immigration. And again, if she loses, one of the big questions is, why did she not address the policy conversation, especially when it comes to the economy and immigration? Why didn't they not coach her on having better explanations of why she would be different from Joe Biden? And I think the reason why she was never going to have the proper explanations is because the Democratic Party, they are delusional. Here's an example of that.
Senator, 66% of voters believe the country is on the wrong track. As you know, historically, incumbent parties don't win re-election when the number is that high. Do you believe that Vice President Harris should have distanced herself more from President Biden and sooner?
I believe, as this poll indicates, that this is a change election. And the voters in that regard have a very clear choice. They are saying that they want to turn the page.
That's right. We want to turn the page on the failed policies of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. But what he was about to say was turn the page on Donald Trump. But Donald Trump has not been the president over the past 4 years. So it's turned him into a naive party. And I think it should be used as a case study of what not to do moving forward, because politics have changed in America. So that is my opinion on this. We got to see in this video, and I want to know what your thoughts are. Kamala Harris continuing to be fake, a manufactured candidate. And also, what do you guys think about their response to the Jewish voters? Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Now, Kamala Harris, I know, was kind of the subject of this video, but her running mate, he's no better, okay? This guy currently has a hard-on for Elon Musk, just obsessed. All he does is try to insult Elon Musk repeatedly. Well, we did a video on that. It's uploaded to the channel. And if you want to check it out, you can click on it because it's coming up right now.